I absolutely love it. So, all right, well, welcome everybody. Let's get started to Monday's call at 10 a.m. We have a very special guest. I'm a little biased. I absolutely love this couple. I'm so excited. I'm going to see them next weekend, and I'm staying at their house. So I know they went out and got all new furniture for me.
Yes.
And I know they're going to take care of me, but I have not seen them in probably 5 years, but very dear friends of me. But what it is to you guys is this is probably the most important person in eXp. And I'll tell you the reasons why is because this is the lady that is responsible for you guys getting paid when you close a file. So I wanted to have her on. She's never been on before. She carries a lot of weight with eXp, and I'm so proud of her because she started at the bottom. So enough of me talking. Anne-Marie, please take it away. Give us a brief background on kind of how you got here, and then I'll ask you some more questions.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Frank. That was very kind words. I'm actually the senior compliance lead in California. That's kind of what Frank was referencing. And but a little bit about me is that I had a grandfather that was a real estate broker, and he used to share a lot of really fascinating stories with me. He had his own brokerage for a while. In fact, in 1974, I believe it was, he was the board president of San Gabriel Valley. I just took a lot of interest in it, listening to his stories. My mother also practiced real estate. And so I ended up in 1997 getting my license. And so that's about 27 years ago. And it's just a fascinating industry. I mean, there's so much opportunity. I love the business. If you love working with people and helping them make one of the biggest decisions of their life, it's so rewarding. You know, it's challenging, keeps us on our toes. It's an ever evolving industry, so it's just amazing to be a part of such an industry. I have to say that Frank is the one though that shared eXp with myself and my husband, John Graham. We weren't really too familiar with it at the time. It was, back in, I want to say 2017. And Frank had shared with us eXp, and we were so interested after speaking with him. And we joined the eXp Realty back in July of 2017. And so that's like 7 years now. We've been part of this family, and we just love it and can't say enough great things about it. And we're just excited watching, the growth take place, the industry changes, and having the support of eXp is amazing. So I'll get back to that later. But I also then joined the compliance team because I was very interested in the compliance end of it and the contracts. And so I've been part of the compliance team now for a little over 5 years. And now I'm the senior lead and just love it. I love being a part of helping our agents to have the knowledge to be able to go out and be the best that they can be and have that backing and support. And so that's a little bit about me and where I'm at now.
Okay, so after working at eXp for a while, you and your husband decided to move to Italy. Tell us a little bit about how that went.
Well, being that we also have some real estate knowledge of Europe as well, and in Italy, and we have friends and family there, we decided, John's also on the compliance team as well. He is the support for some of our mega teams, and we were working virtually. So we had that option to go and move to Italy and explore while we were working at the same time. That was one of the amazing things about eXp was the whole idea that you can work and take everything with you and function, without having to worry about being any place in the world. So we, of course, loved Italy, but at the same time, we love California more. So here we are.
Where did you live in Italy?
Lucca. I don't know if anybody's familiar with Lucca, Italy.
Which is where?
Lucca is pretty close to Pisa. It's, gosh, I don't know. Let's see. It's about a little south of Florence, southwest of Florence by, gosh, I don't know how many kilometers, about 55 kilometers.
So basically you were working and living in a place where most people have their bucket list to visit.
Yeah, absolutely.
You live close to Tuscany, if I'm correct.
Yes, we were in Tuscany. That is correct.
So how long were you there?
Probably about 4 years.
4 years, and you were still working for eXp, even though your hours were probably a little crazy.
Yeah, they were crazy, but no one ever knew. I mean, unless you knew me personally, no one knew because of the technology and the ability just to function, virtually. It's pretty amazing.
So whatever happened in Italy, you decided to come back to California, which I am really stoked about, just selfish-wise. I'm very selfish, just to have you guys here. So now you're back, and what area are you in?
Monrovia in Southern California.
I bet you eXp is very happy to have you back in California.
I think so. We're very, very happy to be back and be able to. We'll be seeing all of your faces personally in person.
All right. So let's get into it a little bit.
Yes.
A lot of changes. It's been a lot of changes, especially in the last couple of months.
Yes.
I'm just kind of let you just kind of go and riff. What have you seen? What are some things that you could help us? And how to avoid getting in trouble with Debbie Penny. So I'm gonna leave it up to you because I do not want to be on her you-know-what list.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in reference to just like general or just with the more recent changes, Frank, what are you?
The more recent changes. The more
recent changes. Okay. Well, what we're seeing, and it may not be any of you, but we've seen some of the buyer representation agreements coming through that have zero. And then agents saying, I'm going to provide the seller payment to buyer broker and the seller is going to pay me. So I think there's still some misunderstanding that what is actually on the buyer representation agreement when you represent the buyer is the maximum commission that you can make. So if you're not planning on collecting nothing, of course, you still owe a minimum to eXp. So if it's a personal transaction, you still need a BRBC or a BBA, which is the eXp form of the BRBC.
Okay.
You will still need to provide this, even if you're the buyer or if you're not taking a commission, you still need to provide this. And this should be executed and agreed upon with the buyer before you show the property. Or if you're showing multiple properties, you would want this to be executed prior to. And then you're already in agreement with your buyer as to the commission part of it. And I believe that that's probably some of what we're seeing. And the agent will, respond back and say, but the seller is paying me a commission, but my buyer's not going to be paying me a commission. So how it works is that you can, if you have a buyer and you're working with a buyer, you want to put down the commission that you're anticipating and put that on the BRBC. Let your buyer know that if there's something, where the buyer is not too happy about paying you commission. I mean, it's a lot of it is how you explain it and how you talk to your buyer. Let your buyer know that you're offering them a service. And when you do create this document, though, you can let your buyer know that you're going to try to get the seller to cover the cost. And you will, when you write the offer, you're going to check 3D3 and provide that SPBB, which will ask the seller. I'm noticing in a lot of the files that I see that the sellers are offering to pay the commission. They are responding and paying for at least all of the commission or a good portion of the commission. But I would say that that is probably what I was just sure. Actually, with the broker team, that we've had quite a few agents where they didn't understand that they need this regardless of the situation, whether they're buying themselves or whether they are not taking a commission.
Okay, wait. So are you telling me that someone turned in their file and expecting to get it approved and they don't have a BRBC in the file? Am I correct to assume that?
We have had some where there's no BRBC in the file, unfortunately. And then we've had the others where it says 0. They've left it completely either blank or put 0 down. So we want our agents to understand, because we all work hard for our commissions, that you could run the risk that that is all you're going to receive is 0 commission if you put that down. So it's really important to know that when you're discussing this with your buyer. And, like I said, most of the sellers have been receptive that we've been seeing, and they are still paying the buyer,
right.
The buyer agent. But it is important, if you're going into it and you are putting 0 down, please be thinking that through. But it's technically not even 0 commission, because there is a minimum to eXp of $585. And there is also, for personal deal, it's $335. So it's technically not, then you're going to be paying that yourself.
Well, nobody in this call is doing that, because I know all of these agents are trained very, very well.
Yes. I'm happy to hear that.
All right. So I guess what I'm asking you now is, where do we go from here? Because this market has changed, although in a lot of markets, people are still doing transactions and it's still moving. I'm still getting rev share, which I'm really surprised that is as much as it is. I'm very thankful for all of you. But I'm sure that your people in your department, I mean, you guys see a lot of stuff that probably just, you shake your head every day.
Sure.
And you get help from your team. What can we do other than just put 3%? And what can we do as agents to make your job easier? Because we want our file approved and we want our check.
Yeah, I would honestly just say that when you're in contract, if you have a listing within 2 days of the listing start date, you should have your file in SkySlope. If you are, if it's a purchase, 2 days within the acceptance of the contract, you want to have a file in SkySlope. If you have any questions as to what type of checklist to use, we have a lot of support in that area as well, like where we can help you decide. And I would probably say one of the ones that a lot of our agents struggle with are new construction versus a new construction standard checklist.
Oh, okay.
And that's. And this just kind of goes back to, having your file in, first of all, making sure that everything is completed, you have everything filled out, who the buyers are, the purchase price, so far and so forth. And then once you've created a checklist, you want to make sure that you're choosing the correct one, because our checklists are suited for that particular type of transaction. So there may be documents, if you chose the wrong one, that you may be missing some forms, or vice versa. It could be asking you for forms that don't apply. Our checklists do have quite a few documents, but not all of them are required. They're if applicable. So if they don't apply, then we will be looking at the file, and if it isn't applicable to this transaction, usually we'll respond to your note, or you can upload an email if something doesn't apply to the transaction. But when you're choosing a checklist, I can go back to the new construction versus new construction standard. That's one of our big ones. When you are, if you're working with a buyer and you take your buyer to a builder and you sign your buyer in with the builder. And that's pretty much all you're going to do. That's a new construction referral. But we do have files where it might be that, Frank, you bought a couple lots and you're building a home on those lots. But that lot's usually listed with a real estate company, and you're going to have somebody bring in a buyer, but they're going to be working with that buyer and doing all the disclosures. Usually they're going to be on car forms and so forth. So that's kind of the difference between the two. The difference is registering your buyer versus, you're working with the buyer the entire transaction. And if you choose the correct checklist, you're moving along, you've got the right documents in the file, the sooner you can get the documents in, we can get the file approved. And our transaction team will be working on looking for what they need to start generating your CDA.
Anne-Marie, how many people
Yes.
are you? How many people are you responsible for?
Right now, there's 12. So we are, that's our contract compliance team right now.
Okay, a lot of responsibility. Can you sneak John in? Let me see his face because I know it's a family thing. John,
Frank wants to say
don't
hi.
be shy.
Hey, Frank.
He doesn't want to go on camera. He didn't shave.
No, John, we want to see your mug. We want to see your mug.
He wants to see you. I'll turn it just a little. Just say hi. Oh, wait. There he is. Just say hi.
Hey, Frank.
You got an elbow shot.
When is he camera shy?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Next time he'll shave.
Okay. All right. So you also have.
Michael, what's that mean for you and I, Michael? Jeez.
Yeah, I know.
You got a shave now? Look at Michael. I think he looks amazing. Jeez.
See?
So thank you. You too, Nate. You too.
That's right. Look at the dark beard and the white beard.
I agree.
So, Anne-Marie, you also have another secret weapon in your family.
Yes. So our daughter also, she works compliance. She's actually compliance for multiple states. And
wow.
I don't even know what states actually, but yes, I'm so she works. Did I say compliance? I meant transactions. I'm sorry.
Transactions. Okay.
Transactions. Yeah. And she does that for multiple states. So she's the one that helps get those CDAs generated and get those out to the agents so they get paid. Yeah. Important parts. Yeah.
What a powerful family with eXp. That's amazing. Yeah. All right. So Anne-Marie, yes. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open it up for questions because I'm sure people have them. I'm gonna ask the questions to be short, of 15, 20 seconds at the max, so we can get as many questions in. And we're gonna just open it up, and you're on, guys.
Anne-Marie, I would like to ask the first question.
Sure. Yes.
I heard for referral that you have to go and SkySlope and create a file for the referral. I'm the one that actually gave a referral to another agent at eXp.
Yes.
What would be the process? Can you just describe it? And I would go and do it, but just so that I'm in compliance. And how soon do I need to do that?
I would create the referral file once you know that the buyer's in contract. And at that point, I would get the referral signed sooner and have that referral, but you don't need to create the SkySlope file until you know the buyer's in contract. And that's the tricky part with SkySlope because it's not really referral friendly. So you will have lots of information it's going to ask and you won't have that information. So you can just kind of put in unknown or, just something to kind of move you along to you so that you can provide what information you do have and then get that broker signed referral. And the checklist you would choose is going to be outgoing referral.
Okay.
And the type would be referral. And so you're going to go into SkySlope and you would choose create a transaction. And then it's going to give you that checklist option. And then all you need for that is the broker signed referral agreement and then a copy of the check. So that will be all, pretty much everything that you would need for that transaction. And yes, go ahead.
when you say copy of the check is like when I receive my referral check, I upload a copy at the end. Is that what you're referring to?
Yes. And sometimes if the check gets received by our transaction team as well, since the payment will go for all referrals have to go to eXp, they may upload the copy to your file as well if they receive a copy of it.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Arya.
I'll go. Amory,
Yes.
with these changes and everything, and I know that it comes up a little bit. If we have just a BRBC, right, we're working with the buyer. Is that a point we should start a sky slope file, or like you said, just to him, wait until we actually get them in contract for a property in a transaction to start it? Because I know that we're supposed to turn in our forms always and save them.
It is a great question, Michael. We have an actual pre-contract choice now in SkySlope. I would get your buyer representation agreement uploaded, and we were hoping to have a checklist that just asked just for the buyer representation packet, but it may populate all of the documents for that particular file, but you are only required for the pre-contract to put in just that buyer representation package. If you're using the eXp buyer representation agreement, you still are required to provide the same documents that would come in the CAR package. So that would be, the BCA, the CCPA, the BIA, and the AD PRBS. So you would upload all of those to what's called a pre-contract choice. When you go in there, you'll go to create a transaction, and then it'll ask you, are you under contract or is this pre-contract? You'll choose pre-contract, and that way you have all of those documents already in there. That is the best way to do it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Does that answer? Did it help? Okay.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
I bet you guys are busy.
Hi, I have a question. My name's Ruby.
Hi, Ruby.
Hi, I'm a newer agent. So I have a quick question about there's a agent that had a listing agreement, but they never renegotiated it after the August 17th whole lawsuit deal. What happens to that contract? Because the seller was asking me how, like, they don't want to be with that agent anymore. I don't know if that's a question for you or the broker.
Are they canceling the contract out?
They want to. So I was doing an open house and the seller came in and was asking me these questions. And I was like, I don't know, but I want to know in the future. So if they weren't renegotiated, is that automatically out of compliance?
Well, did it expire? Did the listing actually expire?
No.
No. So what happens is if you're still in contract, even though that buyer cancels, what we do is we cancel the transaction side of it once the cancellation of contract is fully executed and uploaded, and then it will reactivate your listing. So you will still have your listing. As long as your seller hasn't canceled it, it still exists and it will still continue. But what I would recommend, if it's not the newer contract, the 724, then you would want to provide the DMLA to your file at this point. So you're going to need to provide that, and that's going to allow your listing to continue as it is.
And I'm sorry for the question. What's a DMLA?
That is the modification to the listing agreement. Let me pull it up for you so I can get the exact verbiage for you.
Disclosure and modification to listing agreement.
There, thank you.
Okay. Oh, the modification. Okay. Yes, thank you. Okay. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
So, Audrey, I think
I'm actually doing one this morning.
Audrey, I think your question was you were at an open house. They didn't want to go with the listing agent anymore, but because they didn't do the DMLA or the modification, is the contract void? Is that so? Then you could work with them. Was that what you were thinking?
Well, eventually, yeah, that's the goal. He wants to work with me eventually, but he wants to take the house off the market and correct the modification. The DMLA wasn't ever done. Yeah,
the DMLA doesn't negate the original contract, but you just are supposed to have that signed to be compliance with eXp. Isn't that correct, Anna? To have it turned. Yeah. I think when we did, we had 7 listings. We sent them all out to the sellers. I had explained to all of them what it was, and they signed it. But even if we had not got around to it or whatever, the contract would still be active until
it's still active until it's canceled. That is correct. So unless the sale or it expires passively.
Perfect. Thank you both so much. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
I have a question.
Yes.
I was actually speaking with, I guess, transactions last week. I had a file. We were in escrow, and unfortunately, it fell out back into escrow. So that's not a problem. However, when I had to go back into the world, they had to cancel the transaction out and then reactivate the new one. And now there is no checklist whatsoever. So they were going to speak. I mean, we tried for half hour. We couldn't get it back up. So I can't load all my new paperwork to that new file. Okay. So they were saying that SkySlope has been having problems. So yes. I don't know what's going on.
Yes, Gail, yes, thank you for bringing that up. We have had some SkySlope issues where we go to file, just like we were just speaking about with Audrey, or Ruby, I'm sorry, was it Ruby? I'm sorry. So what was happening was we would have a file that would cancel, the purchase cancels, and then the agent would want their listing to be reactivated, but it's a different looking file. I believe you probably have seen it, where it looks like kind of looks like a purchase at the top, but it has a listing at the bottom. And so what we were working with SkySlope support on this, because once the agent was trying to hit accepted contract, there was no option to go into contract again. So we've been struggling with this. This has been something that we're definitely hoping SkySlope gets fixed very quickly. But if you have any particular file that you need somebody to work on, go ahead and send it to our compliance email, and we'll be happy to take a look at it for you. Yeah, you're not alone. That's all I can say.
No, I know we'll work on it. It's like, I mean, it's not closing for a couple of weeks anyway. I'll be okay.
Yes,
but I think they were a little frustrated too. And, most of us have been with eXp now 6 years, since 2018. And this is the first time you guys really had any issues with it that I'm aware of. So we'll all work around it. It's good.
Yeah, we do have, we have issues from time to time, but and usually they're pretty good about getting it cleared up rather quickly. So let's hope that they do.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll get it squared away one way or another for you.
Sure. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Wait a minute. Is that a Gail Rocco sighting? In my eyes?
Yes, and I look like hell, so you're not going to see my face.
Gail, I love you.
There you go.
Hey,
beautiful. We all love Gail.
Sure.
Living in paradise in Ventura. Love it.
That's true.
Yeah. Who else has a question?
I have another question if there is no other question on hand. Anne-Marie?
Yes.
First, of course, if you could give me again, I know you have done that, but give us the compliance email that you mentioned. So if we have anything for compliance, what would be the email? Would be compliance@exprealty.com.
Yeah, I can actually type. Let me put it in the chat. So it's ca.contracts.
Very nice.
Realty.net. And you can also, if you need a file reviewed, you can definitely, we need to take a look at something. You may have a question regarding SkySlope, your SkySlope file, need a review or anything, please reach out to that email.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And then this might be a broker question, but I received a offer for one of our listings, and they are asking on the additional terms or other terms that they want to, the contract ask for permission to do simultaneous or assignment of the contract. So they're wholesaling it in a way. What is eXp's position on wholesaling, assignment, simultaneous close, any of that? How do we deal with it? Do we allow it? What do you say?
I would probably go and meet with one of our brokers on the California broker floor, or you can give one of the brokers a call. Do you have the hotline? You have the broker hotline phone number?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And I would go ahead and, because a lot of times, yes, I believe that there are circumstances where wholesaling is okay, but I would probably discuss it with the broker team just to make sure that you have everything that is required for this type of a transaction.
You receive an offer, but it's not a CAR, California Association of Realtors contract. But
Okay.
it's a contract, has all the remedy, the terms, the price, the whole thing. Can you accept it? eXp doesn't allow it to accept it, or do you want to counter and have it in the CR form, period?
Because it's a contract, we will accept it. It's not your buyer, correct? You have the listing. However, what we do recommend is that if eXp is not named on the contract, we would want a confirmation of real estate agencies' relationships. So you would need an AC so that we can see the confirmation. And also, it would be advisable to do a non-standards forms advisory. So you would want an NSF.
NSS. Very good.
Yes.
Aria,
then, you can do that.
That is a great question.
Yeah.
That's a great question.
I appreciate that.
Very impressed. Okay, who else has a question for Anne Marie? This is your time. This is one of the only times we have her on Zoom call because she's very busy.
I have a question.
Yes.
Yes.
How did she know that she wanted to be in compliance in the department?
For a love of working with agents and the contracts. If you love the contracts and you love working with agents and you're up for challenges, that's how I knew this would be for me.
But do you think it's important to be like a professional transaction coordinator before you go into your field?
I haven't found that to be always. No, I know I have team members who've never done any transaction coordinating, and then I have some that do. I think that it just depends on the person, and anything can be learned. So I'm confident that it doesn't always matter one way or the other.
I guess my big question is it more of a personality trait? Like certain people can be in your field and it takes a certain personality type?
I think that you have to be able to pay attention to detail, be organized and disciplined. And I do feel that definitely helps. Having a knowledge of the industry as well and having a knowledge of the form, it's very important. But I don't believe that you have to be a transaction coordinator to have that knowledge prior to the position, if you were to take a position such as.
Are the forms more important than, like I'm 63 years old. Are the forms more important than your experience, your historical real estate experience?
I think both are very valuable, but if you are an experienced agent, you should know your forms. Mm-hmm. So I believe knowing what it's like to be an agent definitely helps, because not everything is, not every transaction is going to be perfect. And sometimes it's difficult when you're dealing with the other side and they're not getting things over to you in a timely manner. They may not want to sign certain documents. I think it's really important just to be able to have a good open line of communication and be able to explain the documents and be able to notate everything. And if the other side, for example, in real estate, we know that sometimes they're not going to do what we would like them to do. I think you have a little more of an understanding when you're actually out practicing than maybe when you're not. However, the approach is still going to be the same. So regardless, yeah.
Thank you for the question. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Shelley.
One of the things, real quick, Anne-Marie, can you put the customer toll number in the chat? Because I know people like to go look it up and they'll have it right here. Also, this is being recorded. So if you guys want to look back at this recording, it'll be on the Winner Circle. I think, Chris, we're also going to put it on LinkedIn and YouTube. Copy that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let me grab that for you. Thank you, Chris.
All right. Does anybody else have any more questions?
Frank, am I too late for a question?
There you are. There you are.
I know it's not the hair and makeup, whatever, but I'm here.
Yeah, ask away.
Okay. Anne Marie, I don't know. By the way, my name's Janice Dale, and I have we have a mega icon.
Oh, yes.
Which Frank is part of. Yeah. And so anyway, I've been a broker for a number of years, and I had a personal experience with one of my best friends. And this goes back to the question that, is it Aria brought up about the non-CAR form for offers? And then you had talked about that there's a non-standard forms. I didn't even know that existed. Didn't back in my day. But and then, of course, getting the agency disclosure signed. My question is, because we just had a situation like this where some of these buyers don't want to sign the BRBC. So basically we just say, hey, we can't help you. We can't work with you. Then that's unfortunate. Good luck to you. However, we also know that the law says that we must present all offers if we have a listing to the seller. Okay. With that, there are some people out there that I'm just going to use the word slick. Okay. They think they're pretty slick. They're buyers, they're not licensed. And basically they could write an offer on a napkin if they wanted to. I know that's a little far-fetched, but you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yes.
With that, what I used to instruct my agents to do in the agent remarks was if no commission, we can't do that anymore. No commission paid.
Right.
If you're not a member of an association or MLS, et cetera. So in that situation, they can really tie you up. And maybe this is a broker question. I don't know what eXp is requiring today. Can you elaborate on any of that? Or we had a flipper with a one-page contract go directly to a seller and wanted to purchase their property. And she wanted to make that, she was in agreement with that. And then basically they could have tied her up for a year if they wanted to, or for a long time. And it could have gotten very messy, including having to bring in legal people to help her out.
Right.
I'm kind of all over the map with that. Are you following my question, or do you? Is there an answer for it?
Yeah, I don't honestly know, other than we do need to have that when you do represent a buyer. And if they're not willing to provide it, I understand what you're saying. I think that, it's difficult because you're saying that you're having to turn away buyers. However, from the listing agent standpoint, if they're going to have these buyers come in and they're non-represented, that's when that section on the new listing agreement, where if you have a listing, there's the section, I want to say it's 2E2, or I got to pull up a listing agreement to look. But anyway, there's a section where it's for unrepresented buyers, where you as a listing agent could make a little additional commission for an unrepresented buyer. And in that case, these buyers would need to be providing a buyer non-agency if they're not represented. And that's what our listing agents need, is a BNA. And when you do sign a listing agreement, I would ask your seller, if there was an unrepresented buyer coming in, would you be willing to pay additional commission? And that's where, I at this point, if you're, taking a step back, we do have some great classes that our broker team provides on how to talk to agents in these circumstances with the BRBC issue, how to talk about the contract with your buyer. It might be something that maybe, we could even have another class on. That might be good for, the agents in your team. But I think we're going to see we're really getting into it now. So we're going to see some changes coming up with maybe even some of our forms in December, some revisions, and we may have to revisit some things at some point, but that's kind of where we're at right now. We need to have that agreement. And if they're not willing to sign it, you run the risk that you may not be receiving a commission anyway from those buyers, I would think. So,
Aria, you had something to add?
I just want to chime in.
Okay.
Janice, what my recommendation is, there is also non-exclusive. So there is simple form. Also, eXp has two forms, which is exclusive to eXp agents. which is a 1 page or 2 page. But what I suggest is take these classes is about the conversation, because we can do a non-exclusive, which is kind of, we just want to make sure we are in compliance. We don't have to retain you, and you can work with other people if you choose so. Hopefully, because you're so loving and so knowledgeable, nobody wants to work with anybody else. But we have options. We can be in compliance and not be intrusive or forceful or tie them to your hip. My recommendation, there is some great classes. Thank you.
Right. Thank you for sharing that. And that's true. My concern with one that we had recently, Anne-Marie, just to be clear, I'm sorry if I wasn't at the beginning, is that the buyer went directly to the seller when the property was already listed, and then presented to the seller, and the seller said, I want this. And and maybe this is my fault. I know we have, it was 5-page listing agreement. I need to go back and look and see if we're already protected with the new listing agreement. I don't know if there was any changes on that or affecting that. Aria, do you know about that?
Yeah.
If a buyer were to go directly to the
let me
seller?
tell you this. The listing agreement is between the seller and you as the listing agent and eXp as a broker. That has no jurisdiction on the buyer. The buyer representation is an agreement between the buyer and whoever is representing the buyer. As a matter of fact, the merit of the lawsuit is they are completely separated. No longer they are commingling. It's all different deals and how it's written. But you have no protection on the listing agreement regarding the buyer. But there is a clause in the listing agreement that if you have a non-represented buyer, then you can represent them and seek for your own sellers compensation. That you have the protection in the current listing agreement as of July 24th, which is the newest revision.
Okay, thank you. That's my fault for not checking that and making sure. But at the same time, if the buyer says, I'm not paying anything, and the seller says, I'm not paying anything, you're kind of left with your seller and no representation. I'm just more concerned about the liability with,
you need the BNA. You need the buyer non-agency to protect yourself. You as listing agent, ask for the buyer non-representation agreement, the BNA.
And they refused to sign it. They did refuse to sign it, the buyer. And yet they wanted to work directly with the seller. So they interfered with the agreement between the listing agent and themselves. Very bold. I'll just call them very bold buyers.
I would also recommend that you have your agent come and speak with the broker team on that as well, just for some advice.
I would recommend as well, Janice.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Oh, sorry. I think that's also a conversation with the seller. If you have a buyer coming up to them and presenting an offer for them to, hey, there's this, I do have an agent. All offers need to go to my agent to make sure that they're communicating with you. And the buyer may not want to do it, but if they're not willing to do it, the seller has an exclusive agreement with you to list their house and represent them as their agent. So the conversation should go to you. The paperwork and all the forms and the offer should go through you. And then such, like she says, the protection you have is doing the BNA. And it's the same thing as if you went the other way around. If you were representing a buyer and you went to a for sale by owner, you would still sign the BNA to the for sale by owner person to make sure that they know that they're not representing, you're representing only the buyer.
Right. It's been like working in the Wild West here with some of the changes, honest to gosh. But okay, thank you all, and especially to the audience, all of you, for sharing.
Absolutely, yeah. We have some tough times that we're going through, but we'll make it. We're survivors.
We always do. We always do. Anybody have any last questions before we close out this call? Because it is time. Okay. So, Anne-Marie, I don't see the toll-free number in the chat. Did you put it in?
I did put it in there.
Okay.
Can everybody see it? Okay.
No.
You don't see California Broker Hotline?
No.
888-832-7179.
Can you put it in the chat?
I'll put it in again. It is in there, but I'll put it again.
No, I think you put it in the chat, maybe directly to Aria or somebody, because it's come through to everybody.
Oh,
and
it's
Anne-Marie, I have a question.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I had a different hotline, which is 888-584-9427. Is that different? Are we too hot? We have two numbers?
I am not familiar with that other number.
Okay. Well, I don't want to confuse anybody. We just take the 888-832-7179, which is California Broker Hotline, as you put it in the chat. Thank you.
Yeah, I apologize for that because I did put something in here, but apparently it just went to Aria. So
oh, that's why I have it. Oh, wow. Let me just take it. I would actually put it in the chat for everyone. Don't worry about it.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. Okay. Well, anything else that I can do? And, just wanted to also say again, thank you so much to Frank for having me here. And if you ever have any questions, any of our beautiful agents, please come and speak with us. We're on the broker floor from 9 to 4, or there's the broker hotline as well. And then you have the contract compliance email, and feel free to reach out to us. We're here to support, and we love our agents. We want you guys to be successful, and we want to be here for you to help you guys to be able to be out there and shine. So,
Anne-Marie, one last question. How many agents do we have in California?
Gosh, I want to say it's like over 10,000. So I don't know the exact number. That'll probably be in one of our meetings coming up where they share the numbers, but it's it's a lot.
Yeah, I do want to tell you that, on the weekend.
Sorry for that, I'm on the call, but of course you are.
On the weekends, we get an email from eXp, the broker newsletter.
Yes.
I looked at that the other day. Anyway, I looked at that the other day. I can't believe how much information is in that California newsletter.
Yeah. Yes, that's a great point. And thank you so much for bringing that up, Frank, because everybody who is on this call should be looking at that newsletter. It does have a wealth of information. Our administrative team works so hard on producing that newsletter, and it's got everything you really need in there, and it'll let you know the broker on call. It'll let you know what trainings are for the week. It has connections to our Google Drive where there's tons of information, and it's great. It's got everything that you could possibly need.
When does that come out?
Every week you should be receiving an email. If you're not receiving it, let me know. Fridays.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So be looking for it. Make sure it's not going in your spam, because that sometimes happens too. So.
Oh, it's amazing. I could not believe it that I've been missing it all this time. But anyway, you're busy. I'm going to let you go. Thank you, everybody, for being on here. We will definitely have Anne-Marie on again because she's freaking awesome.
Yeah, think of any questions you have. If you want me to share my screen, if you want me to go through anything, I'm happy to.
Love it. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Bye. Thank you so much.